Yo, I'm messing up. Messing up already. Anyway, what's good, people? How you doing? Donald King here. Back at it again, man. Here, just, I don't know, reaching out to people, trying to make connections, trying to explain things as best I can. Right now, I am tired. I'm tired. I didn't get good rest last night, but that's all right. You know what? We power through anyway. Earlier today I gave an interview to one of my homeboys, Abdullah, and I was kind of zoned out, so I wasn't completely dialed into what I was doing. I'm actually trying to get my mind a little bit more focused and centered here, and hopefully, I can do better in this. Also, I want to make sure that it's like I can be as concise as possible because I want to keep the I want to keep the time limits on these posts down. But I gave an interview. I was not happy with how it went. I don't think that I did a very good job of conveying what it was that I was trying to share. And there may have been a couple of moments in there where I misspoke or used words inappropriately. So it's like, I want to come back and clean that up as best I can. So what would be the point of everything I'm saying right now? Well, there are a couple of different points that I want to tie into this particular episode that I guess carry over from the interview. All right. Also, I have to get used to talking to technology. Once I have other people with me and everything is conversational, then there's a greater fluidity that comes along with it. But when I'm speaking directly to technology, it's always me having to guess the audience or sort of like idealize an audience to speak to, and it becomes very impersonal. And when it becomes impersonal, there's a sort of disconnect there that I'm trying to learn how to work through. So that's another reason why it's like I'm going through this. It's the same reason I started doing my Instagram videos, really. I want people to see me go through the process of fumbling to find words to describe what I see, and then my own experience through what I see, and to show that it's not a perfect process. There are errors and glitches everywhere, and sometimes I'm going to stutter here and stammer there, and other times I'm going to forget a word here, and there are times when I use words out of context because they sound close to the words that I'm actually going for. So it's not perfect. It's not perfect, and I want people to see the imperfection in the process of explaining principles the way that I understand them. So that being said, so earlier in the interview, my man, he was asking me a question, and a lot of the questions that people ask you, they have to do with what you do. What do you do? What do you do? That's how we come to define ourselves in society. We come to define ourselves by what we do. How do you trade your life away in order to procure resources to survive on in society? How do you demonstrate value to the collective and or add value to the collective by performing a task or producing a good or providing a service? What do you do? As of right now, I work primarily as a content creator. What do I mean by content creator? Well, I create videos, I write blog posts, and then also I write essays and things of that nature. I write posts on Facebook, things of that nature. The point of everything that I do is to work in the capacity of an avatar. Now, again, I'm not trying to ask anybody to believe that I am this particular thing, okay? It just fell into my lap. I didn't expect this to be my life path. I certainly, had I known what it entailed on the front end, I'm pretty sure that I probably would have shied away from it. But because I host this thing what they refer to in the Christian faith system as Holy Ghost or Holy Spirit, it's a function of the system of reality itself. So society is a system of agreements that humans use to govern interactions between each other, and then also to facilitate interactions and trade, and through trade procure means for survival, and so on and so forth, right? Problem is, reality itself is, well, it's a closed system that society is simply supplanted over top of, right? The reason that's important to explain is because when you're an avatar, you're an agent of the original system. You're trying to describe to entities that run on a different mode, a different pattern, a different way of processing information in reality, that I understand that you guys have this intricate system of agreements and meanings that you've constructed and that you utilize towards making sense of the world around you. But there was a system already in place before the one you created and placed over top of it. My job in life, not in society, in life itself, is to explain the core system of principles that society is simply supplanted over top of. Okay? When you become this thing, and again, I had no idea that this was going to be my life. When you become this thing, your social self, your social character, in essence, you have to sacrifice it. You literally have to sacrifice your social life in order to become an agent for the primary system, right? So everything that I do in the way of explaining information and explaining reality and things of this nature, it has to do with me functioning in this role that was sort of thrust upon me by the original system. So I produce content in that way. I also work as a freelance writer and things of that nature. I assist people in their in their pursuits to express themselves, because save today, in most instances, I'm fairly articulate and I understand the concepts that people are trying to convey through their work and through the I guess their efforts to express themselves, and I'm fairly good at putting it in a good framing for them. However, for the most part, this is what I do with my life. This is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And this, again, this isn't something that I chose. It's not something that, I decided upon after much debate. There's literally a real thing that's symbiotically bound to me that's like, this is how you're going to move in life. This is how you're going to move in life. A lot of times people are like, yo, I tell people what I am and how it works and all these other things. And obviously people are not going to believe me. But for those who do believe me, everybody's like, oh, I'm this thing too. Oh, I'm this thing too. No, you're not. No, you're not. Nobody in their right mind would sign up to do this because, again, there are a lot of days where you just, you don't know how it's going to play out. It isn't that it's just difficult. There are lots of, things that come along with being this. For instance, if I'm in the avatar perspective too long, sometimes I can go so deep into it that it's like I can get a little bit dizzy and I can get headaches and shit like that. But, it's like nobody would sign up to be hated or do a 13-year-long just book report for free. You wouldn't. In your mind, there's no way you would sign up to. There's no way you would sign up to do this. No one would sign up to do this. And I'll be honest in saying this: if I knew what it entailed on the front end, it's a pretty good possibility I would have run for the hills. Because it's just a lot of heat. It's a lot of anger and animosity. And imagine you could see behind a veil. Imagine you could see behind a veil. And everybody around you had agreements they made with themselves about what was behind the veil. And you can see behind the veil, and somebody's like, ooh, I know that there are magical unicorns, and there's pixie dust, and everybody flies and eats cake all the time. And you're looking behind the veil like, nah, that ain't it. And they get mad at you because they're narcissistic, and they're like, what do you mean that's not behind the veil? You don't know what's behind the veil. Nobody knows what's behind the veil. You're like, no, I'm looking behind the veil. I see behind the curtain. What you think is back there isn't there. Now imagine doing that to the entire species. Everybody's mad at you because what you see doesn't match their hopes, wishes, and beliefs. Nobody would sign up for this. Nobody would sign up for it. You know? So, my job is basically to, and not job by society standards, my job by the system of realities, like what it tells me I'm supposed to do in terms of function, is simply describe what I see. Not to add anything to it and make it pretty. Not to take anything away from it for fear of offending people. Just describe what I see. I describe what I see in terms of natural principles of principles of natural organization, and then I describe what I see in terms of principles for social organization. I test what I see against the best convention I can find and get access to, and the best social authorities that I can find and get access to, and pretty much 1,000 out of 1,000 times, what I see is more consistent and more structurally sound than what humans have been able to produce through idealism. Are there going to be instances in which convention outperforms me? Possibly. I'm not close to the idea that they might, but at the end of the day, I work for the primary system, not for the secondary system that's been placed on top of it. So, yeah, as such, I produce content to try and help people, to try and help humans get a grasp and a feel for how society as a system, not just society, but how reality as a system works, and then also how society works and why society and reality are mutually incompatible systems. Society is based on parasitism, and parasitism is derivative from corruption. Corruption necessarily creates imbalance, and reality as a system is the facilitator and protector of balance. So corruption and reality, or what religion refers to as devil and God, they are mutually incompatible. Corruption is trying to consume and destroy reality, and reality is trying to purge corruption, and they bump heads. I'm an agent of reality. Agents of society, well, you're not going to like me very much. Corruption as an entity, it performs through these individuals via parasitism, and it's like, hey, you know what? We got to silence him. We got to break him. Corruption has to target and destroy truth and suppress truth, because truth and corruption are mutually incompatible. So that puts us into the circumstance that we're presently performing within. So that is basically a rundown of it. So far as I understand right now, I have to do the work of describing what I see. I have to do the work of describing what I see. Not adding to it, not withholding, just describing what I see. Man, there's a lot of things to explain about how the avatar perspective works too, because again, it's an entity. So it doesn't just allow me to see things in principles. It doesn't just let me see everything in terms of like a binary of sorts. It has its own will and sense of like autonomy. So, and the reason why I mention that is because a lot of people are like, how do you know it's just not some personality that you've created inside your mind? And I'm not smart enough to do this shit. I'll be the first to let you know. I'm not smart enough to do this stuff by myself. I can't do universal math. How can I get that many things to configure? How can I get that many things to configure using modulo 9, and it's completely divorced from every type of math that humans have been doing throughout the species, the history of the species? I'm not smart enough to do that. That's the entity like, hey, you have to show how natural math works because it's the mapping system for how natural organization fits and functions and perpetuates, self-perpetuates. That's the reason why universal math exists. There's already a system, guys. Like, fuck your calculus and your algebra. Yeah. I'm glad that you use these systems in order to repurpose elements within nature. But prior to you using your budgetary maths to repurpose functions of reality and systems of reality and building blocks in reality, there was a system already here. There was a system already in place. So again, reality uses, I guess, functions of itself, e.g. the avatar perspective, if that's what you want to call it, to try and explain to different species that are on the spectrum of corruption, hey, you ought to sync with me. I'm giving you a chance to sync back up. If you function as an agent of corruption, I'm going to have to purge you. I'm going to have to purge you. I don't care what stories you come up with inside your mind. I don't care what stories you create among yourselves or circulate among yourselves. I don't care about your systems of agreements. I don't care about the things that you are willing to accept or unwilling to accept. I was here first. This is how the system works. If you function as an agent of corruption, I will purge you. And for every imbalance you create and contribute to, I'm taking it back from you with interest. My job is to explain this system and what it is trying to communicate to the species before it does the task of purging them from existence. Not glamorous. Been fun. It's cool to be able to see principles. It's pretty cool to understand all the things I'm able to understand, but this hasn't been a vacation. It's not fun. It's work. I'm tired. Emotionally bruised and battered. All of the personal shit that I've been through the process of just doing this task, I mean, it wears on me, man. It wears on me. And ironically, another reason that I want you guys to understand why I tell you that I'm an avatar and don't just leave it to your imagination is because, again, as a function of this system, as a function of the original system of reality, reality has static rules. When you aggress against not Donald King, but the thing Donald King is hosting, because you think that you're striking at the man, reality has some horrific consequences in store for those who try to lash out against it. It's bad. It's kind of like, I don't know, how would you, it's like trying to punch a volcano or trying to punch lava. It's like if you get mad and you punch lava, the consequence is you're going to burn your fucking arm off. Okay? Now, it's like if you get close to lava, yeah, you're probably going to get some burns. If you punch lava because you try to take your anger and frustration out of it, it's going to fuck you up. And I'm trying to explain to you guys that I'm an avatar because according to the rules of reality, how it works as a system, if you try to lash out at it directly, you suffer horrifically, even worse than you're already going to. So I'm not flexing. I'm not, hey, look at me, I'm special. Nah, it doesn't have anything to do with that. Like, I'm trying to explain how the system works to you. I want you guys to look in my eyes when you see me doing this. You know when somebody's crazy. You can tell in their eyes. You can look at somebody's eyes, they're all beady and darting and things of that nature. They're not settled in what they understand. They're not settled in how they explain or express themselves. There's no continuity. There's no ebb and flow. I want you to look into my eyes, because you know for a fact when you're looking at me, there's nothing mentally defective about me at all. You may not like the things that I'm saying. You may think that I have some grand delusion and that none of this stuff is real, but in your heart of hearts, you know I'm legit. You know I'm legit. Like, even just taking 2 seconds to think about society being the system of agreements humans came up with that's supplanted over top of reality. There's nothing in you that doesn't realize that's true. Every fiber of your being is like, he's right, you know. Yeah, man. So, yeah, just giving you guys a heads up. Like, none of this is based in idealism. None of this is me self-idealizing or trying to make myself special in any way, shape, or form. Again, I didn't plan on any of this being my life. I didn't plan on this. This isn't something that I built up to. I didn't sit on the side of a mountain. I didn't meditate my way to being this or how I am. It fell in my lap. When I went over to the state and condition humans call heaven, it happened when I was an atheist. I was trying to explain it away by trying to put labels on it and put it into perceptual boxes and things and make it something that was knowable and controllable. And I failed. I failed miserably. But that's how it goes, man. That's how it goes. You think you know everything one day. You think that you have all the answers to life and that everything in the world is going to yield to you and your power and authority and your ability to determine meanings, order, and the outcome of events. Then all of a sudden reality shows up and invalidates everything you thought you knew right there on the spot. And it gives you a choice. Are you going to defend everything you thought you knew before? Are you going to adapt in the moment to what exists above, beyond, and in spite of you? There's no scenario in which that isn't the case. You're always going to come head to head with things that you think you have control over, that it turns out you really don't. You have to choose. What are you going to do? Are you going to step into the new? Or are you going to try and defend the old? And that was the choice that I was given. Hey, I'm going to show you some cool shit, Donald King. And this is I'm being this is kind of how reality was like, hey, I'm going to show you some cool stuff, Donald King. But in order for you to see it, you're going to have to let go of everything you thought you knew before. In order to understand it, you're not going to be able to carry your former beliefs with you into the new state of understanding. And at first, my pride didn't want to let me. I was like, no, this is a psychotic snap. I know it is. You're a figment of my imagination. I can make you disappear with my brain power. That's what I fucking thought. I thought I was going to make it all go away with the power of my brain. And I couldn't. What do? Do you defend what you think you know? Or fall back, realize that you don't know everything, put away your pride, and try to understand? It took me a while to get to that latter point. I'll be honest in saying that. It took me a while to get to the latter point. ultimately, what I hope to do in interacting with all of you is help you learn how to calm down. You see, humans are aggressor parasites. We're aggressor parasites right now. Through the socialization process, we're trained to be these raging narcissists. We're trained to believe that we are always right and that everything in the world must conform to us in order to make sense. If it doesn't reflect us back to ourselves, then it must be wrong, right? If it doesn't verify and validate our feelings and beliefs and the stories we either learn from others or tell ourselves, then it must be wrong, right? If we can't believe it, it can't be true, even though truth and belief are mutually exclusive things. What happens when reality doesn't yield to you? What happens when reality doesn't bow down and tell you that you're right about everything? The great irony of so many people waiting for some savior to show up is everybody is waiting for someone to show up and tell them that they're right and that everyone who isn't part of their group is wrong and must be punished. What happens when reality shows up and tells you that you're wrong? How do you respond? I had a rough go of it. Hopefully you do better than me. But I had to get humbled, man. Broken down. I broken down. Big time. Anyway, yeah, man. So we're coming up towards the end. Again, what I'm trying to do is get humans to move from an aggressive state. And I'm trying to get you all to be still and calm down. I want you to calm down. You know? So I'm going to wrap this up here because, again, I'm trying to keep everything short and simple. If you guys aren't familiar, you see all my handles off to the side. I'm on Facebook. I got my Instagram feed, which I have to get back to soon. I really need a team. Like, honestly, I just need to organize myself at this point. Also, I'm on YouTube, and you can check out some articles I've written on Medium as well. I actually need proofreaders because I write so fast that it's like, sometimes I skip over words and things of that nature, and it'd be very helpful for someone to come along and be like, hey, Donald, you're missing like a whole half of a sentence here. And I'm like, right, oh my God. So that would be great. But yeah, man, if you want to be part of the Patreon family, you can find me at Avatar Cycle XIII. That's all one word. You can see it on the ticker scrolling down there. And if you ever get any sort of value from what I do and you just want to show your boy a little appreciation, you can hit me up on Cash App at Donnie Kang. Donnie Kang! That's so stupid. I came up with that name based on Eddie Kane Jr. Don't ask me why, but nights like this, I wish that raindrops would fall. I was trying to do the Deja. I ruined that. That's my own fault. Anyway, as always, I appreciate y'all, man. We're trying to be as calm as water here. Be serene and calm. That's what we're trying to get everybody in the world to do right now. We're trying to get everybody to calm down. Everybody's aggressive. Everybody's angry. They're trying to impose their will, authority onto everyone else, and well, it just doesn't work, does it? Everybody's trying to make their inner story win and everyone else's inner story lose, and well, we're all suffering for it now, aren't we? Look here. Before I sign off, I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. I love you. I'm looking forward to interacting with you. I'm still building up, and everything that I get is moving towards getting me to those higher platforms. So hopefully I can help as many people as possible. I'm signing off. Much love to y'all. All right. Good night.